All right. So basically, what happens in arithmetic progression is that when a set of numbers are given, all right, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, goes on, or could be in any format. Now, if the numbers are given such that the common difference, that is nothing but the subtraction of the two consecutive numbers, the second number minus the first number, or third minus the second. So it should be succeeding number subtract. You need to be subtracting the succeeding number with the preceding number. And in case you get the number as same, okay, that is nothing but basically the common difference. That's in case of this scenario, we can take it as 2 minus 1, which is nothing but equal to 1. Here as well, when I consider it to be 3 minus 2, what do I get? I get it as 1. So if you look into the number, this is 1, this is also 1. So the number is same, that is nothing but the difference is same. The common difference is same. Now, if the common difference between them or between a set of numbers when it is given, okay, then if it is same, then it is nothing but called in, it is said to be in arithmetic progression. Important key, common difference between two consecutive, it could be positive, it could be negative, anything between two consecutive numbers must be same. All right, must be same. So now there are certain things where you have to put across in AP, and you have to understand, especially when first thing is, if first type of question is if the series given to you is in arithmetic progression or not. All right, so that is basically just find out the common difference. If it is same, it's in arithmetic progression. If it is not, then what do you do? It is definitely, if the common difference is not same, then it's not in arithmetic progression. But apart from that, they also ask certain terms and all those things. So now let's say we consider again set of numbers, let's say in this format, 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Sorry. And it goes on. So the very first number which you have, the very first number that you have, all right, this first number is always called as the first term. Definitely the second number was called as second term. So the first term is always denoted by A. We always prefer denoting that by A, like whenever we write a formula and the rest of the things. So we prefer writing this as A. Similarly, this is the second term. Okay. This is the third term and goes on. Now, in this, if I have to find out the common difference, which is nothing but we call it as D. How do we find the common difference? Sir, it is nothing but two consecutive numbers I have to take. That is nothing but 4 and 2. Always subtract the greater number, the succeeding one, okay, with the preceding one. So 4 minus 2 is nothing but 2. Now you want to consider another one, 3 minus 4, sorry, 6 minus 4, that is also fine. You still get the common difference as 2. So the second term, if I have to write in a general format, okay, if I write this in a general format, then the second term would be nothing but, I can write it as A plus D, that is nothing but 2 plus common difference is 2. Now if I want to write the third term, which is your third term. So this can be written as A plus 2D, right? So what is A? A is 2. 2 into 2, which is nothing but 4. 4 plus 2 is 6. Am I getting my third term? Yes. So this is a generalized format of writing a arithmetic progression. Okay. If a series is in AP, we call it as AP, arithmetic progression. Then we can write it general. The same format of writing is this. So here, you need to understand that the first term is nothing but a common difference is denoted by d. And if I have to write any term, okay, see the third term is a plus 2d. Now, if it was an nth term, it would be a plus. So if it is third term, what is it? Sir, a plus 2d. It is not 3d. Yes or no? If it is the, understand this. When it is the third term, I wrote a plus 2d, right? So when it is the fourth term, when it is the fourth term, what will this be? A plus 3d. Yes or no? Correct? Fifth term will be a plus 4d. Fifth term will be nothing but a plus 4d. So similarly, when I go with nth term, okay, so which is nth term? Nth term is the last number, so last term, whichever they're asking, okay, it could be 20th term, it could be 50th term, could be anything. It is nothing but a plus n minus 1 into d. Yes or no? Because if it is fifth term, when it is fifth term, it is 4d. So if it is nth term, it will be n minus 1d. Very simple. With the first term in addition. So we have another, this is nothing but your nth term is given by t of n. Now when I have to find this t of nth term, tn, basically the nth term, when I have to find this out. So tn is nothing but, just now we wrote this, a plus n minus 1 into d, right? So this is basically your nth term. This is basically your nth term. Now, so we have your first term, second term. Now remember, among these three, you have any two. Among these three, have any two. All right, you have any two things, any two. Then, sir, दिल garden garden करना चाहिए. Garden garden करना चाहिए. ठीक है? Very simple. So whenever you have any two things, you can definitely find a lot of things. What is n? N is nothing but that particular term that you are speaking about, whichever term you're speaking about. And what is Tn? So that value, the number that we are speaking about. See, like for example, in this scenario, we're speaking about the third term. So here n is nothing but 3. But what is Tn? Tn is basically 6. You got my point? If I'm speaking about the third term in this, if I'm speaking about the third term in this scenario, so if I'm speaking about third term, let's say in this, so here n is nothing but equal to 3. But what is Tn? Tn will be 6. You got my point? N is whichever term that we're speaking about. But the value of that term is basically Tn. All right. So n is basically the position of certain number, and Tn is the value of that number, whichever position that we are speaking about. Important क्या है? Arithmetic progression है, तो सर वेरी सिंपल है. कॉमन डिफरेंस अगर सेम है बिटवीन टू कंसेक्यूटिव नंबर्स, दो बार चेक करना है. One, first you check down first two consecutive numbers, then you check out the next two consecutive numbers. अगर दोनों सेम है, सर आपको कोई टेंशन, क्लोज योर आइज, इट इज एन एपी, and go ahead doing the question, because there are different types of progression which you have as per syllabus. You have geometric progression also, so that's why I'm telling. First we'll be learning about AP. When we speak about GP, we'll speak about that in the upcoming classes. So AP में क्या common, सबसे पहले first and the foremost important thing is that the common difference should be same. The second thing is that you just need to know how is the general term written, okay? And अगर दो चीज रहेगा, either you have a first term or the nth, the position, the number, or t of n, okay, the number that you have in the nth term. any two things that you have in these. So Dil Garden Garden Garden. You can directly get a lot of questions. Okay, from these. Apart from these basic things, there's also called a sum of n terms. Okay, sum of n terms. So this sum of n terms is nothing but, for example, let's just take that into consideration. Okay, sum of n terms. All right. So sum of n terms, you don't have the derivation and such thing. I'm directly writing s of n terms. Sir, n terms matlab, so set of numbers are given. So sum yani ki kya hai? So let's just take an example for you. So we took in terms of 2, 4, 6, right? So we'll just take this. This is the series 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and it goes on. Now, if I have to find the sum, it basically means, okay, so s of n terms, this basically means it is 2 plus 4 plus 6 plus 8 plus 10, correct? And it goes on. So till where we have nothing but till n number of terms. Yeah, we don't have infinite again over here as per our syllabus, so we'll not be speaking in terms of infinite numbers. Now, this number, if I keep adding, don't you think it'll take a lot of time? So we try to find a general form, a formula to figure this out, okay? Where this is nothing but given by s of n terms is given by n by 2. I'm not deriving it, okay? It's given by first term. So there are two formats of writing this, the formula, first term plus your last term, whichever is the last term. In case if it is given, sometimes what they do is in the series they give the last term. Let's say last term is 30, like this. Okay, so you know which is the last term, right? So you can directly use it. Now, in case if it is not given, okay, so you need to write n by 2 into 2a plus n minus 1 into b. So anyways, we'll do that little bit later, like in case if you want your derivation part, but it's not there. Derivation part. Okay, yeah. So this is one of the most important points. Yeah. And also you have another one, which is nothing but these. So formula अपन के पास कितना formulas हो गया? So तीन ही formula हुआ. कौन सा तीन? एक तो sum of n terms has two formulas and the general term, whichever term that we're speaking about, okay? That is t of n, the general term. दो चीजें अपने आप सब कुछ आ जाएगा. सर यहाँ पे क्या चाहिए? What do you require? See, what are the terms that is there with you? It is nothing but n. In the formula, what are the terms? It is n. So, sir, n to anything I can get from here, right? In case a, again a, b, done. So you have any two things. In sum of n terms, you require all the terms, definitely. So you have any two or three. In case of sum, three. But in case of t of n, two terms. सर दिल गार्डन गार्डन करना चाहिए बस इतना ही है. दिस इज व्हाट इज नथिंग बट इट ऑल अबाउट. बट प्रॉब्लम क्या है? Why don't people get marks in AP10 if it was so simple? Problem is that sometimes this trick to find out certain things, like for example, like when you have some of n terms and we have to solve questions when they give sum of first term and the second term. Okay, like for example, let's say given to you. Okay, this has been given to you. Example, let's say sum of one terms. What is this? S1 means sum of how many terms? One term. Sum of one term. Now tell me, which is the first term? 2. What is the sum of this? 2 itself, right? So sum of one term, basically it is nothing but, sir, एक ही term है. It is the first term. So basically S1 is nothing but your first term, which I can denote it by T1, which I can denote it by T1. Okay. Now another scenario. This is how questions will be given, and people don't know how to find this out. Okay. Sum of two terms, that is S2 is given. What is S2? Sum of two terms. Definitely other type of questions are also there, but we're just considering the very trivial ones. Sum of two terms. What does this mean? Sir, first term plus second term. है ना? इसका मतलब क्या हुआ? S2 का मतलब क्या हुआ? सर, A जो मेरा पहला टर्म है और दूसरा टर्म इज A plus B. Right? So now it is your T1 and T2. What is this? This is nothing but S2 is basically T1, which is the first term, and T2. Now, do you know the second term? We don't know. So to find the second term, what can you do? Since you have the first term, T1 is given from this. So from here, the second term, T2, the second term, that is nothing but T2, can be found out by S2 minus T1. S2 minus T1. So this, now that you know how to find S2 the second term, how to find the second term, okay. Now that you have your first term, you have your second term, can you find out the common difference? What will common difference be? So here in this scenario, common difference, I told you it is nothing but subtraction of the two consecutive numbers. So common difference D is nothing but it will be equal to T2 minus T1. That's it. This is nothing but T2 minus T1. Just writing it a little bit here for you. Common difference D is nothing but T2 minus T1. How do you find T2 and T1? Just write above. So this is a type of question which pops in and the students get confused telling that how do you find when sum is given and how do I find the common difference? Now you know the common difference. You know A, right? You know A and you know common difference. What did I tell you? Sir, दो ही चीज चाहिए दिल गार्डन गार्डन करने के लिए बस हो गया. That's how you solve the question. So when sum of n terms is given, this is how generally it has been done. Therefore, further certain tricks to find out few other things. Okay? So that I will just let you know. So as I was telling, कि यहाँ पे S1 और S2 है. So what do you get when subtracting? See, basically, what is S2? S2 is nothing but in case sum of two terms. Since you didn't get, so I'll just erase this part and just make you understand. So S2 is basically nothing but S1 plus T2. And what is S1? T1 itself. So from that, when you subtract the two consecutive sum of terms, then you get the term itself. So again, if I take into consideration, let's say another two sum of some two consecutive numbers, let's say S of four terms is given, some value, okay, you know the value, let's say, okay, and S of five terms is given. So what is S5? S5 is basically S4 plus T of the fifth term, because it's T1 plus T2 plus T3 plus T4 plus T5. So what is from one? So to make it a little bit easier for you to understand, I can write it as T1. It is basically T1 plus T2 plus T3 plus T4 plus T5. So this entire thing, summation of till T4, don't you think this is S4, which is given to you, let's say, in a question. So S5 would be equal to S4 plus T5. So when I subtract the two sums which are given, that is S5, the bigger one minus the smaller one, then I will get the term itself. I'll get the term itself. So this is something that you should be a little bit aware of. So because these things are very necessary, okay, in order to solve a question. So on the similar note, there is something else which is necessary in AP. That is nothing but when you have consecutive terms. when you have consecutive terms. So now that when I have consecutive terms, okay, when I have consecutive terms, so let's say I have three consecutive terms, three consecutive terms. So why do we prefer this? Also, I have a reason. So generally, whenever you have consecutive terms related questions, the question will always try to give two things, that is sum of three consecutive terms, the sum, and the product of those terms. Sum and product related questions will only be there, like till now that I've seen majorly. Okay, so three consecutive terms. So when I have three consecutive terms, it's always better to take a plus d, and please take down a minus d. All right. So one little, that is 1d more, and this side 1d less from the middle term. Why do I do this? Because now when I take, the reason for doing this is basically, so now suppose I take the addition. As I told you, the questions are generally of sum and product. So when I speak about the sum related thing, like when I have to, they tell the sum of three terms is, let's say, 5. So when I add the three terms, that is a plus d plus a plus a plus d, sorry, a minus d plus a minus d. Now let's say that is equal to 5. So now when you add this, what do you get? You directly get your term, that is a, which is nothing but 5 by 3. If this was 6, okay, we can make it as 6. Partially. So to get a better number, let's say this is 6. So this is 6 by 3, which is nothing but you get a as 2, right? Fine. So now if the product is also given something, okay, product value is given something, let's say. So now when I do this a minus d into a plus d, so what happens is, definitely you know the value of a. Let's say this value is given to you. Now if you see this a minus d and this side a plus d, what do you get? It is nothing but, you should always think of a square minus b square format, which is nothing but a square minus b square, and definitely into a. This value is equal to something which is known to you. Now a value, you can substitute in the places of a, wherever a is there, you can substitute that there, correct? Because you have already found that out in the previous step. Result of which, what happens? D is unknown because the product is also evaluating to some given value. So what happens? D value also you can find. Now you have a, you have b. Can't you find out the terms? You can definitely find out. Now find out whatever is given. Whatever is asked, you can just definitely find out directly. But important is that you need to understand only one thing, where students mess it up. The questions, after asking everything, they'll ask you find the three terms. So when they have to find the three terms, they don't write these terms. They think a as the first term. A is not your first term. A minus d is your first term. This is what we have assumed. So this is something that you need to understand, that this acts as your first term, this acts as your second term, all right, and this is nothing but your third term. This is nothing but your third term, all right. Similarly, now you might be thinking, sir, okay, three terms to sir समझ में आ गया मेरे को, but what about if it is four terms? Okay, what about if it is four consecutive terms? Consecutive terms. Now, when it is four consecutive terms, so what we'll do, or what we prefer doing, is that we take two terms, like minus 2d in terms of that. A minus d, this side we keep it as a plus d. Okay. Then a plus 3d and a minus 3d. So if you look into this, What is the common difference between the two? Now, definitely here, this is your first term. I hope there's no confusion. Your first term, second term, third term, fourth term. Okay, A is not there. Keeping in mind, A is not there. So why do I do this? Is basically because, see, whichever term is there, understand this, whichever term is there, all right? Let me just take some color into consideration. Yeah. See, A minus D I have here, A plus D I had there, and A minus D I have it here. So these two definitely can get cancelled. Like the D's can get cancelled here as well. Plus 3, minus 3D I have here, plus 3D. So when I add them, when I do the sum, it will get cancelled here. Plus D, minus D. Again, they'll get cancelled. I'll be left out only with A. So that is one of the major things that you should understand. And if you now check into the common difference, okay, if you just check into the common difference between any two terms or four consecutive terms, you'll see the common difference is 2D. What's a common difference? It is 2D. Subtract the 2, you'll find this as 2D. That is nothing but what I'm trying to put over here is basically if for the four consecutive terms, okay, it is if I have to find out the common difference, it is nothing but I told you the bigger number minus the smaller number. Yeah. So this is A minus D minus A plus 3D. So when you subtract them, what do you get the common difference as? 2D, right? So everywhere you see it's a common difference is 2D. So four consecutive terms, even 2D, right? 3, when you try to do, the common difference is D. Now similarly, so the major purpose is this, for consecutive terms, sum so that you get directly A, and then from the product you can find out D. It becomes easier for you. So four consecutive terms, then comes in five consecutive terms. So five consecutive terms. Okay. So it is nothing but we'll go to that 3 itself. And what do we add? We need to add one number here and one number here. That's it. Two numbers we'll have to plug in. So these two numbers are nothing but, so the common difference was D, right? So just take another, subtract 1D from this number. So it will be A minus 2D. Then comes in A minus D, A plus D, and A plus 2D. So understand one thing, that whenever it is odd consecutive terms, A will be present. But if it is even consecutive numbers or even consecutive terms, we will not have the term A. Okay, we will not have the term A. It becomes easier for us to, solve. So that's why if you want, but generally they don't ask, but still I'm just putting it across. Consecutive terms. So 6 consecutive terms. So that is nothing but just go to the 4 consecutive terms, subtract 2 more. So that will be A minus 5D, yeah, A minus 3D, A minus D. Then A is not there, A plus D, A plus 3D, and then you have A plus 5D. Yeah, understood? So this is basically what you do in consecutive terms. So that's very necessary. Let's just try to do some questions of these examples. All right. So the very first one states that the nth term of the sequence is given in this format. That is, Tn is given to you as 2n minus 3. All right. And I got to find the 15th term. Yani ki n barabar 15. The 15th term. So I'll have to substitute the value, which I'll have to find that this is being given to you. Yeah. So when I have to find n t of 15, basically, that is n is nothing but 15. So here what you have to do, you know T of n, you just have to substitute this in place of n minus 3. So that's nothing but 30 minus 3. So T15 is nothing but equal to 27. All right, correct? Understood? So ये मेरा T15 term हो जाएगा. Now in this question, so Pth term of an AP is given by, so Pth term, you can assume that to be n term for your understanding. Okay, find the AP. So TP is being given to you because we'll prefer writing as per the question itself. So that is nothing but given as 2p plus 3. Now when I have to find this, so what I'll do is I'll substitute p equals 1. That means I'll get my first term. So when I get that, so p substituting to be 1, so that is nothing but p of 1, 2 into 1 plus 3. So that is nothing but 5. P1 is nothing but equal to 5. Similarly, what I'll do is I'll substitute p equal to 2. So that time I'll get p of 2. Why do I get two consecutive terms is because if I subtract the 2, I'll get my common difference. And T1 is basically the first term. That is my first AP term, right? First term in the sequence. So 2 into 2 plus 3, that is 4 plus 3 is nothing but T2 is basically 7, right? So I have T1, that is my first term, and the second term, T2. Now when I subtract the 2, what do I get? I'll get my common difference. So now here, common difference, okay, I'll just do common difference over here so that I can just write down the term in this end. When I have to find out the common difference, I always told you out that you have to find the difference between two consecutive terms. So common difference, which is given by, denoted by the letter D, that is nothing but T2 minus T1. So T2 basically is 7, T1 is basically 5. So D is nothing but 2. So I have my D, I have my first term, which is nothing but A. Now you might be thinking, which is A? So A is this. This basically is nothing but your first term, right? First term. What is this? This is your second term. So you could have found out the common difference easily. So now when I have to find out the series, I know B, I know A. So it's nothing but 5, the series or the sequence, find out the AP. So the AP basically is 5, which is the first term. Next term is 7. Next term is 9. Then 11, because I just keep adding 2 to it. So when I keep adding 2 to it, it carries, it goes on. So till where do I stop? You just need to put dotted line because you don't know where you have to stop. They have not given that last term so much. So I think this is very common questions, very basic questions. Yeah, just in order to solve some difficult ones, you have to learn all these in immediate questions. So now is 402 a term of the sequence? Now to find whether this is the term of the sequence, now where the sequence is, okay, here the question is incomplete, where the sequence is given to you as 8, 13, 18, 23, and goes on. Okay, so in this, what I have here is my first term, A, is nothing but equal to 8. That's my first term. So it's understood if you write it as A. What's the common difference? B is nothing but equal to 13 minus 8, which is nothing but 3, 4, sorry, 5. This is 5, correct? That's my common difference. That's my common difference. Okay. So I have my first term, I have my common difference. Now to find out that if 402, so T of n is nothing but 402. I basically need to find what is n equal to in this. If it is an integer number, yes, it is a term. It is a valid term of the given sequence. If not, if it is not, okay, then the number does not belong to the sequence. All right, this is how we generally try to find out. So now to figure that out, we have Tn formula, which is nothing but a plus n minus 1 into t. So substitute the values under each other. So 402, a is 8, plus n is something that you need to calculate, and d is nothing but 5. So let's just calculate 402 minus 8 is equal to 5 into n minus 1. So that is nothing but 402 minus 8 is 390, 694, 94, 394, 394, 6, yeah, 394, yeah, and that's nothing but 5 n minus 1. If I'm not wrong, correct? I think so. So 394 divided by 5 when I try to do this, okay, which is nothing but n minus 1. So basically, what do I get? I get a, I mean, fractional value, right? As in like a decimal number, which is nothing but, by default, when I get the fractional number, I will tell it is not a statement. I don't have to do, but still, since we're doing it for the first time, so this is 5 nines are 35. Oh, sorry, 5 nines are 45. Sorry, 5 sevens are 35. My bad. 5 sevens are 35. 35. So 4, 5, 8s are 40. 40. Okay, whatever it is. ये जो part है, this is nothing but, it's a fraction. 394 by 5 minus 1 is equal to n. So n is not an integer. N, what's happening to n? N is not an integer. Oh, this is plus 1, sorry. Integer. Hence, 402 is not a term of the sequence. Okay, that's basically how you find out whether it is a valid term or not. The same thing, find the 100th term of the sequence. Again, sorry, this question becomes incomplete. The sequence given to you is, 100th term of the sequence is root 3. This is given in terms of root. Just be a little bit careful. 2 root 3, 3 root 3, it goes on. So what do I need to do over here is, I need to find the 100th term. So n is nothing but equal to 100. So I have to find t of 100. This is my basic question. So where my first term is root 3, yeah, and the second term, sorry, that is not, sorry, the common difference is nothing but 2 root 3 minus root 3. So 2 root 3 minus root 3, common difference turns out to be, okay, root 3 itself. So I have my first term, I have my common difference, I have my n. I have to find t, 100. So t of 100 is equal to a plus n minus 1 into d. So I can just write down as t of n formula as, and then when I substitute t 100, this is a is root 3 plus 100 minus 1, that is nothing but 99, and this is root 3. So when you calculate this, t of 100 turns out to be 100 root 3. So that's your final answer. Yeah. So these are very elementary questions of the first exercise. You can just try doing them. The second exercise is a little bit again, we'll have different types of questions. So that we will do in the next class. ठीक है, वो हम करेंगे next class पे.